How do you protect your money from inflation? It's apparent we are at an all-time high, and there are ways to protect. I have actually a lot of ideas. So stay tuned all the way to the end, and I'm going to give you some very specific tips. The fourth thing specifically I'm going to talk about is how does inflation affect your lifestyle, number one? And then this big question, does raising minimum wage actually going to affect or help inflation? Number three, which is probably the biggest for those of you out there that have parents on a fixed income or anybody on a fixed income, how's it going to impact you and what do you do? And number four, probably the most interesting, is how do you protect yourself in this crazy environment of unpredictability? So got to get pen and paper, like I said before, we got a lot to talk about. So back to inflation, interest rates, and the little problem we're having right now. How do you protect your money? We talked about ideas, what you do with your lifestyle. Make more money. What do you do on fixed income? Just start a company and have your own business. I mean, I cannot tell you enough about that. What do you do to protect it right now? Well, I have a ton of people going to cash. I have a ton of people pulling out of real estate and other places are going to cryptocurrency and NFTs. I can warn you about that. You need to be very careful. The SEC, the IRS, and every agency is on it. They're going to want their fair share of that money. I know that it was supposed to be the off-grid. No one's going to have to pay taxes, but I have a client and made a lot. Young 20s, became a millionaire in cryptocurrency. Challenge, it's the IRS tax time. His tax was going to be over $1 million. Hence found me here on our YouTube channel, met me, and we're saving him potentially $700,000. Don't quote me on that. We're still working on it. So the bigger question is, the money's in cryptocurrency. He needs $700,000 potentially. Actually, we're going to save $700,000, so he might need a couple $100,000 in cash. Where does he get cash when it's all in digital currency? And how are you going to cash that out? So there's still a lot of issues in that to go all into crypto. And I think some of you are making a huge mistake doing all crypto and all NFTs. I think you need to stay balanced. You need to stay diverse. I talk about that all the time in my Millionaire Maker series, especially my wealth cycle investing. I'm a huge fan of real estate. And I can tell you some of the best investments I'm making is land, RV parks, storage units. Love those. I've had land in Texas. It's so interesting. For years. And all of a sudden, the cops, I lived this true story, cops out of Seattle found me on the internet, found my company, dug. They took about 6 months to finally found who owned that land. And we're probably gonna do a deal for a bunch of developments after all those years. People are moving into very different pockets of the world, very remote pockets. So I think you gotta look at other options. So what else can you do? Stock market. Well, that's an interesting one. That's a roller coaster if you're with a financial planner or a stock trader. Unless they are paying attention and getting you out of the market fast enough, like in March 2020, you all lost 33%. The average person lost 33%. I have an app. I'm going to give you a link to it. It's called IFlip. You've heard me talk about it over and over. And it's a software. And it's algorithmically programmed into Smartfolio. So it takes you out of the market upon a big dip. So the most I've ever lost is about 2.83% ever in years and being this. So the last big dip that we just went through around April, May of 2022, same thing. I might have been out in cash, but I didn't lose. What your planner's going to tell you, because they have to tell you, but you're in it for the long haul. It's all going to recover. Yeah, but you got to make up 30%. You know how long it takes to make up a 30% loss? Why lose in the first place? So there's a lot of protective measures you can put in place from cash. I mean, I know a lot of people go into gold and silver. I've already told you my real estate play. I would do some cryptos, and I would do the stronger, longer standing ones. I'm actually in NFTs, so I'm clearly in those as well. But as far as the stock market, I would only use IFlip. So as we talk about lifestyle, let's talk first about what is inflation. For the consumer with inflation, as the currency is getting lower and devalued, really, the cost of everything's going up. So who really wins? I can guarantee you, and you've seen it on other videos, if you've been watching my YouTube channel, the consumer never wins, right? And let's just talk about the big one. It's gas. right? We were about 2, 3, we're at 6, 7 in bigger cities right now. Inflation is all-time heading towards a 10%. Interest rates are going to go up. They're larger than ever. It's already affected the real estate market. So for the consumer, I mean, just so you know, the backdrop is production costs are going up. The supply costs are, in minimum demand. And let's be honest, I'm going to be actually on a total rant. Again, on some videos, you're going to totally agree with me. Some you're not. Overall, the financial literacy and what I teach you about money I'm just right on. And sometimes I have opinions. So this one I have some opinions. All of the materials that are sitting out, not coming onto shore because people won't work, the trucker problem, you can add it all up. This isn't like it's uncommon to what's going on. But why is it happening? Why is the shortage happening, right? And if you don't think it's politically driven, let's be honest, we all know that it's politically driven. What's the agenda? Let's just have that talk. So I teach pure capitalism. Right? Live corporate life. The founding fathers developed this from living in LLCs, S Corps, C Corps. All of that allows tax deductions, trust. It allows you ways to create generational wealth. I can promise you everyone in the political party has all of these structures. So why they're killing themselves from those structures and reducing our ability to live in those structures, even in corporate deductions, they're going to be taking a big hack at the 81,000 pages of tax code. Why? Interesting. I mean, I can't go political, but I want to. Gas prices, what's the one solution? Open up the pipeline. Right, I'm a gas and oil millionaire and I'm going to fight forever. There's more earth being destroyed with lithium batteries being pulled out of the earth. And what are you going to do with them all at the end? Get everybody on electricity? LA couldn't even handle the brownouts by just the few people who had them last year in 20 and 21. So there's my rant. Now, back to inflation and how is it going to affect you? Well, for you, you're just going to have to control you and your household. What are you going to do for you and your household? You've got to make more money. I teach a marketplace every 3 weeks. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you 2 tickets to the marketplace. You got to learn to make some more money. And if you don't like to do it that way, I also can do all your marketing, get you leads. You have to learn to make money. If not, you can live within your means, which you know is not my model, but you can control your spending. So let's break this down a little bit. So who wins in inflation? The investors win, the shareholders win, right? The people who are actually increasing the production cost, holding back supplies and holding back materials. The political agenda at the gas pump, we all know is about getting electric cars and reducing our ability, to have fuel and diesel. The irony of it all is everything you touch, even from these glasses and most of the stuff that you wear, your shoes, have petroleum in them. So I don't know how you think you're going to produce around that. And we've already proven hemp is probably the best viable option because I'm not green. I'm just not going to go all the way over there. I have too many green clients that are all green. And I can tell you they're struggling for cash flow. Because at the end of the day, here's what the consumer does, especially in inflationary periods. They're going to look at a green product. They're going to look at a standard product, including light bulbs. And if they don't have a lot of money, they're not going to buy the more expensive one. They're always going to buy on a budget. They've been conditioned too long to do that. So that's the problem. So who else also wins? You can say the consumer wins. And some of you I know think like the business owners win because the business owners, let's talk restaurants. They've had to increase their prices. There are restaurants because no one's coming to work. They actually close. Around here, like finding something open on a Monday, shocking. So it's a really interesting time. So the restaurants have to increase their prices to keep up with inflation. The consumers have to deal with it, and they're getting worse service because there's less help. So the whole cycle is interesting. Now, when I've traveled all over the world, that's a pretty standard cycle in Australia. They do get higher wages. They don't, even increasing minimum wages. Like minimum wages when I was over there really frequently was $18 to $20. That doesn't mean you're going to get better service. There's actually less staff because the cost to the restaurant over there, for example, is just more. I was just recently at a car dealership. There's hardly anyone there. Why? Because they can't afford the overhead of that much staff. So the current staff, the small amount, gets really stretched. What does the consumer get? Increased prices. You think that the business owners actually, because small and medium-sized business owners are my client. You think they're winning, they're not. Their margins are really, really, really small. I do more coaching and more work helping businesses stay alive right now because their margin is reduced. The salaries are higher, there's less people, they're stretched out, the margins are lower, people don't want to pay more. The discretionary money is really being thought through in a very different way. Let's talk about real estate. Right? That was a big political surge, but that's actually turned. Most markets that I have heard of, and I invested markets that have very little fluctuality, right? I invest for appreciated cash flow apartments. I also do a lot of land. So agents and brokers who are selling single family homes. So for example, let's talk about real estate. And we're recording this in June 2022. We just came off a huge 18-month run. I mean, extraordinary run. And it was a seller's market. People taking cash buyouts. I mean, it was crazy the amount of money that people were buying for new homes and even properties. Whether they're ever going to recover and ever to even sell at the rates, Like, I think a lot of those buyers are crazy. They were buying at the highest rates. If this makes 2006 look like a kindergarten game, given the rates that have gone up, if they're ever going to buy out at a profit, it'll be interesting. So we've seen all this cycle. So what do you do about it? Again, I'm going to go back to you. You have to learn to make some more money. You, your family, your household, make some more money and control your spending. Now, I'm not saying reduce your spending. I'm saying control it. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to do that. Let's talk about two other points though really quick. Does increasing minimum wage really affect and help in inflation? Well, not really, because proportionally, as inflation goes up, and even if they get a little, and we're talking minimum wage, we're talking people who are used to $1 and a $2 is an extra raise. So people who used to make $12 are making $16, 16 to 20. That $4 to some might make a big difference, but proportionally to the rate of inflation, because it's going so high, not really going to make that much of an impact. Now, who has the biggest impact? The biggest impact are the fixed income folks. Here's some ideas around being on a fixed income. So you could partner with people. Think about this. You've worked 20, 30, 40 years in the workforce. There's something that you know how to do, right? I have an older gentleman in Utah. He does metal art. Now, does he love to do it as a hobby? Yeah, but he doesn't know how to market it. Well, you know what? He's got a bunch of kids and grandkids. They can get him on the internet. He can do the art in his little shop and get the metal art done, partner with your grandkids and your kids, and get on the internet. So a lot of you, if you're not technical, which most of you aren't, you're going to need to partner. The other idea is a lot of you have skills you could do together. So here's two other examples. So I have a woman who's been writing books and publishing and editing for a long time. Well, what does all the younger influencers need? The influencers need to do content. They're not great editors. So I don't care how old you are. If you're a better copy editor, you could help them. That doesn't require technical skills. You could review their copy. You could review their content. You could actually do research for them. There's a lot you can do. I'm telling you, you're going to have to get creative. For some of you, I'm going to say this, there's a woman, again, another client of mine who has a company called Every Mother Needs a Mother. Well, why don't you start one if you're older out there listening and say every mother needs a grandmother, right? And start, like, whether it's aftercare services, daycare services, engage yourself with other kids. There's tons of things if you think about your skill sets. If you're a caterer, what else could you do as a caterer or an experienced wedding planner to go help somebody who's just starting a company? So partner back in. I don't care if you get a job with them. I'd rather see you get a contract with them so you get better tax strategies, but you can all make more money. Do you want to? Maybe not. You're in a very, very critical time though. If you only have a fixed income and you need to make an extra, say, $1,000, $2,000 a month, let's break that down. That's not a lot of money. $1,000 a month is $250 a week, it's $50 a day. There's all of you that know and have enough skills that you could figure out either partnering. I like, actually, of all my ideas, partnering with the kids and grandkids to help you get whatever you know how to do out on the internet, because you're going to get a lot more bandwidth and you're going to get a lot more money out there and less work. I am not telling you to get a job. That is not where I'm going. You're not going to go be the traffic director at Walmart or Home Depot. You're going to just produce extra money and gives you more time with your family. So I'm just getting creative with you. I want to open up your mind. There are ways for you on a fixed incomes. I know I have a lot of those folks who actually, during the pandemic, in their 50s even, said, I'm out. You took your 401k and you checked out. Well, the market's been a little rough lately. So how do you protect, right, your money? I'm going to get to that next. But before I finish that, you're going to burn that cash. If you just did some basic math and you're in your 50s and you decided not to go back into the workforce because of the pandemic, and you're going to live till average is about 86, I can guarantee you, unless you got millions in the bank, you're not going to make it. So you're going to have to contribute to extra income. Make this journey, this chapter, more fun. Those of you that are younger, you got lots of mad skills. I got tons of videos, and so you can go back and look at how to make extra money and use any of those, especially if you have technical skills. To find anything in my channel, you go up to my search bar, put in the topic that you want, and go listen, go binge watch. I actually reward you for binge watching my channel. And if there's a topic that's not out there, put it in the comments and my team will get that back to me so we can actually stay very relevant to what you're wanting to listen to and have 5 days a week for 10 to 12 minutes a day. Also, hit that subscribe button, click the notification button, and very soon I'm going to have a membership called Ask Loral. We're starting at July 1st, 2022. And if you want to ask me live questions, that's how you're going to do it. You're going to listen to the channel, and it should trigger thoughts. It should trigger questions like, I wonder how that's going to work. I wonder what's going to go on with that. I wonder what Loral will say about that. Put it in the comments. Go to Ask Loral, and let's continue this dialogue and get you financially literate. There's nothing scary about money. It's just that you don't know anything about it. So again, I want you to grab your free app for IFlip at the link below. And I'd love to get to know you more. and what your real situation is. So I have a quiz. It's called my Financial Personality Quiz. It's 4 parts. It puts you into one of the 4 categories, tells me who you are, what your biggest problems are, and then that immediately is followed by a gap analysis profile, which sends you out, and that comes from my Millionaire Maker book. You're going to fill out the profile, have a one-on-one conversation with my team, and away we go. If we can help you more, we'd love to work with you one-on-one. So grab 2 tickets to my event, the Millionaire Intensive and Marketplace, and come learn to make money. We're doing them every 3 weeks, so you cannot miss, and you can reattend. Go make some more money, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.